Blue and red lights flashed across my driveway as two officers stood between me and a furious woman clutching a clipboard like it was a badge of honor. My heart was pounding, not from guilt, but from disbelief. "Officer, that man owes me over $4,000 in unpaid fees," she screamed, her voice cracking with the confidence of someone who truly believed the world bent to her rules. I blinked, completely stunned. "Unpaid what now?" Before I could even process it, she waved a stack of papers in the air like evidence from a courtroom drama. "He's refusing to pay my administrative costs. That's theft of services." One of the cops looked at me, then at her, clearly wondering if they'd walked into a prank show. "Ma'am, you're saying he stole electricity from you?" She nodded furiously, her blonde bob shaking with every word. "Yes! My home office hours have skyrocketed because of his violations." I just stood there in the middle of the chaos, surrounded by flashing lights and neighbors peeking through curtains, wondering how I'd gone from watering my plants to being accused of grand theft power, Bill. And that's when it hit me. I thought I was moving into a quiet suburban dream. Turns out, I'd just moved into Karen Whitmore's personal empire. When I first moved into Sunset Ridge 3 months ago, I honestly thought I'd found the perfect neighborhood. The houses looked straight out of a magazine. Neatly trimmed lawns, kids riding bikes, and those little mailboxes shaped like birds. The HOA fees were reasonable, and the community website made everything look so peaceful. What I didn't know was that peace came with a price. And one woman was collecting it all. Her name was Karen Whitmore, and she wasn't just the HOA president, she was the HOA. Every decision, every rule, every fine went through her. The rest of the board had quit years ago. Most neighbors just stayed quiet to avoid becoming her next target. My first encounter with her came while I was still unpacking boxes. She appeared at my door like a tax auditor from suburbia, crisp khakis, tucked-in polo, hair so tight it looked like it hurt. In one arm, she carried a massive 3-inch binder labeled Community Compliance Standards. "Good morning," she said with the kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I just wanted to welcome you to Sunset Ridge and make sure you're familiar with our rules." She opened that binder like she was revealing the secrets of the universe. "As you can see here in section 12.4, she said, flipping pages with military precision, lawn care must be performed every Saturday between 8 and 10 a.m., no exceptions. I personally inspect properties every Sunday." I raised an eyebrow. "Really? Because the HOA documents I got just said lawns need to be maintained, not on a schedule." Her polite tone vanished instantly. "Those documents are outdated. I've updated the standards to protect our property values. That should have been my first red flag, but I brushed it off. I figured I could handle one overly strict neighbor. I was wrong." A week later, I hired a landscaping crew to replace my water-thirsty grass with native plants, California poppies, lavender, and sage. Everything was approved by the city and fully within HOA guidelines. It looked beautiful. The next morning, I heard furious knocking. Karen stood there, red-faced, waving her clipboard like a sword. "What do you think you're doing?" she barked, pointing at the new plants. "Planting drought-resistant flowers," I replied, confused. "Those are not on the approved list." I handed her the HOA rules. "It says right here, homeowners may use native drought-resistant species. These are approved." She snatched the papers, skimmed them, then scoffed. "Those are old. I've updated the landscaping policies. You'll need to rip these out and replace them with approved grass." "Approved by who?" I asked. She squared her shoulders. "By me. I am the board." That's when I realized this wasn't just a pushy neighbor. It was a full-blown dictator with a clipboard. Over the next few weeks, things spiraled fast. Every morning, a new violation notice appeared on my door. Sometimes two. One for leaving my trash cans out too long. Another for parking in my driveway during restricted hours. Once, she fined me for having curtains that were the wrong shade of white. None of these rules existed in any official document. When I ignored her fake fines, she doubled down, literally. The next notice had every penalty doubled for failure to comply. Then she started taking photos of my house at all hours, crouching behind bushes like a suburban paparazzi. Still, I tried to laugh it off. Until the day I opened my mailbox and found her electric bill. At first, I thought it was a mistake, until I saw the sticky note attached. "Your non-compliance has forced me to spend extra hours managing your violations. You owe me for the additional electricity used in my home office. It was for $4,376.22. I nearly dropped it. That afternoon, I walked to her door, bill in hand. She answered wearing rubber gloves and holding a spray bottle, mid-cleaning spree. I think you accidentally dropped this in my mailbox, I said. She smiled smugly. Oh, that's correct. You owe that to me, I blinked. You're serious? Completely, she said proudly. Your repeated violations have forced me to work overtime in my home office. My electricity bill has gone up. You need to compensate me, I tried reasoning. Karen, that's not how HOAs work. You can't bill homeowners for your personal expenses. She flipped through her binder like she was quoting a law book. According to my calculations, you owe me for 3 months of increased usage plus a processing fee. I laughed. I'm not paying your light bill. Her smile vanished. We'll see about that. She slammed the door in my face. 2 days later, I found out exactly what she meant. I was working from home when I heard sirens. A police cruiser pulled up in front of my house. Karen stormed out of hers, waving papers like victory flags. The officers walked up, calm but cautious. Sir, we received a report of theft of services, one said. The complainant claims you're refusing to pay legally mandated HOA fees, Karen cut in. He owes me $4,376.22 in administrative costs. One of the officers frowned. Ma'am, does he owe the HOA or you personally? Me, she snapped. I had to use extra electricity to manage his case. The officers exchanged a look that said everything. Ma'am, the older one said slowly, we can't arrest someone for not paying your power bill. That's not a crime. Her jaw dropped. But I'm the HOA president, he sighed. That title doesn't make you law enforcement. If you keep filing false reports, you could be charged. They turned and left, leaving Karen frozen in my driveway, red-faced and fuming. I hoped that would be the end. It wasn't. Over the next week, she went on a full-blown crusade. New violations every day. Aggressive landscaping, architectural insubordination, even willful disregard of community harmony. I documented everything, every fake fine, every note, every photo. Then I went higher. I filed a complaint with the State Department of Real Estate, which oversees HOAs, and sent a detailed letter to every homeowner in the neighborhood explaining Karen's behavior. The response was immediate. Turns out I wasn't her only victim. Neighbors came forward with stories, absurd fines, personal shaming, even threats. Within 2 weeks, the community had enough signatures for an emergency board meeting. That night, almost every homeowner showed up. Karen stood at the front, clutching her binder like a shield. I don't understand why everyone's upset, she said, her voice trembling. Everything I've done has been to protect our property values. Then people started speaking, one by one. Mrs. Peterson was fined for having uncheerful garden decor. Mr. Rodriguez was cited for parking his truck in his own driveway. The Johnsons were warned for leaving their kids' toys outside too long. By the time I read aloud her $4,000 electric bill demand and explained how she'd called, I won twice, the room was silent. Then applause erupted. The vote was unanimous. Karen was removed from the HOA, but it didn't stop there. The Department of Real Estate Investigation hit her with $50,000 in fines and banned her from any HOA leadership for 10 years. When the news broke, she sat quietly at the back of the meeting, pale and shaking. I was just trying to help, she whispered. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. Now every time I walk past her old house, I can't help but smile a little, because for the first time since I moved in, Sunset Ridge finally feels peaceful. I came here for quiet suburban life, and somehow ended up teaching the HOA queen what real accountability looks like.